Is this yours?
Yep, that's me. All this
I-
is my mess.
I would just hold on to it because I don't want to get
Got
stuck
it.
in mine.
Got
Then
it.
you would be sad. You want me to? The mic is on. Okay. All right. Everybody's stuff. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to be here today to declare September as School Attendance Awareness Month. Right now, as your governor, I want to add extra focus to making more progress on how we achieve better educational outcomes for Oregon students, especially students of color and students in low-income communities. My vision for Oregon schools is an Oregon where every child receives a high-quality, culturally responsive public education, which means a safe place that helps every child feel connected to adults and other children, so every child can achieve their full potential. And frankly, this is a necessary North Star to guide a complicated system of agencies, educators, advocates, and families. Every community, every school, every student is unique. And public education can never take a cookie cutter approach. Our success as a state for our children will take more than one bill, one budget, or one legislative session to see the progress that we want to see for our students. Progress and success will take commitment, it will take collaboration, with all of us searching for the gaps in our system that students may fall through and finding ways to fill those gaps. So my message today is this: the research is clear. Every day in school matters for that student. Chronic absenteeism is a predictor of lower third grade reading proficiency, course completion, and dropout rates. When kids aren't getting to school, there are broad implications for their futures, for our communities, and for our economy. Chronic absenteeism is so much more than students missing out on learning. Regular attendance for kids gives them a sense of achievement. It allows educators to provide the resources and supports that they may need outside of the classroom. And regular attendance can foster a sense of belonging and stability that helps social and emotional development. The impact of chronic absenteeism is even more pronounced for students who have been historically underserved in our educational system, which will then widen Oregon's achievement and opportunity gaps. So we can do better. We must do better. Being in school matters. It is important. So that's why I'm declaring September as School Attendance Awareness Month, asking Oregon adults, because it's really about the adults, recommit themselves to our students and their educational success. This is a call to action. When schools, families, and communities work together, we can make a difference in the futures of our kids. My goal as governor is to collaborate with our educators who are on the ground in every community to make sure that every Oregon student gets the education they deserve. And I want to say that some school districts right now are doing great work solving this problem, keeping their kids in school. I want to particularly call out Gladstone School District, who has enlisted their entire community, from their businesses to the parents, the school staff, to help get kids to school. We need to see that across the state of Oregon. And I will say our most important partners in all of this are our parents and caregivers of Oregon's kids. Right now, those morning routines and school attendance patterns will be set in that first month of the school year. So for many families, this is their first week of school, or next week will be if they have little students. So today I'm calling on the parents and caretakers to choose one thing this week that will help make your mornings easier. Small routines make a big difference for your kiddos. Many parents succeed by setting a series of get ready alarms at night or in the morning, where they decide that there's a little family reward when everybody's showing up at school. Whatever it is, I need our parents and caregivers to think about it this week. And what is that one thing you can do to help get your student excited and in school every day? Because I believe if everyone cares about our students' future, we will make a difference. And this is an opportunity to lift up that message that student being in school, their attendance really does make a difference. Today, you're going to hear that the Oregon Department of Education is releasing a social media toolkit to help elevate this important work. And so I hope all of you who are watching and here today help elevate and spread that message of the importance of school attendance. This work doesn't get done just by the governor having a press conference and making a proclamation. It takes everyone to do that. In the legislature, we have some wonderful champions. Representative Juan Nguyen and Senator Suzanne Weber are leading a group talking about this issue and what we can do differently to help our school districts. And we're going to hear from Senator Weber here in a moment. We have some advocates here today who have been fantastic. It's a busy time. It's the beginning of the school year, but our friends at the Oregon School Board Association, the Coalition of Oregon School Administrators, we have some folks here from Lynn Benton, Lincoln Educational District, the Southern Oregon Educational Service District, and the Northwest Regional Education Service District. Our ESD partners are providing a lot of that support to our schools to make sure kids show up in their classrooms. So I'm really grateful to everyone who's here today for the signing of the proclamation, but more importantly, please spread the word. It's really important for people to know how important being in school is. We can do this. We can get our kids in class, and it's going to take all of us doing that together. And my strong partner in this work is Dr. Charlene Williams, the director of the Oregon Department of Education, who really has that North Star directing the agency to say, we can serve every child so they can be successful. And so I'd like to pass it off to Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Senator Weber, for your support of today's proclamation. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. This year, we are officially, as you've heard, proclaiming September Attendance Awareness Month. It's a crucial step in moving the academic needle forward. We know that consistent attendance is key to student success. When students attend school regularly, they are more likely to learn, grow, and connect. This initiative is a call to action for all of us. Educators, parents, community members, we all need to prioritize attendance and to ensure that each and every student has the opportunity to thrive. By working together, we can build an environment where every child feels supported and empowered to achieve their full potential with regular attendance. And so to highlight this, ODE has created a social media toolkit for schools and districts to use on their own platforms. So I don't know if you want to do a screenshot or pause your video if you're watching this on the second round, but we actually have this QR code where you can access some live resources to support schools and districts in your area. This toolkit is designed to raise awareness, encourage consistent attendance among families and students, and reinforce the message that our governor has already led with: every day matters. You can find this on our website now. Speaking of Everyday Matters, I have to give a shout out to our team. This is a state-funded initiative to support school districts, schools, and communities to address the root causes of chronic absenteeism. There are a number of resources developed by this initiative that also align with ODE's larger integrated guidance, which is basically our opportunity to do school improvement work and assign resources to where schools and communities need it most. Everyday Matters provides funding to all 19 educational service districts for technical assistance, coaching, and additional support for school districts and charter schools, specifically focusing on student attendance, their belonging, and engagement. Everyday Matters also stewards grants to support community-centered approaches to addressing the root causes of chronic absenteeism. As you heard earlier, that we can't do this work alone. This isn't just a school issue. This isn't just a teacher or principal issue. It is a community issue. We need all hands on deck. I'd also like to shout out the Tribal Attendance Promising Practices Grant. This grant provides funds to 10 school districts with the highest percentage of American Indian and Alaska Native students to reduce absenteeism in American Indian and Alaska Native students. The purpose of this grant is to strengthen the links between the tribes and the school that serve tribally enrolled students by implementing best practices that support good and improved attendance. It provides personalized early interventions and outreach that support families. It helps us develop programmatic responses to identify barriers to attending school. So thanks to a grant from the 2021-2023 school years, our ODE's Tribal Attendance Program, Chiloquin Elementary School, for example, in the Klamath County School District, reduced chronic absenteeism by focusing on creating a welcoming school environment and giving students a sense of belonging. This included bringing the Klamath tribal culture and language into the school and assuring all classes completed cultural projects in collaboration with the school's Indian education liaison. So in 22-23, the American Indian Alaska Native regular attender rate at that school jumped to 67%, up 10.3% from the previous school year. This rate slightly exceeded the school's overall attendance rate and widely surpassed the state's attendance rate for our American Indian Alaska Native students. These are just samples of what can be done and practices that can be expanded across our state as we draw our attention and our focus to attendance. So as we step into this new school year, let's carry with us the knowledge that the work we do matters, and that while there are challenges ahead, and we could name them all, we are stronger together. We are shaping the future one student at a time, and there is no greater responsibility or privilege. So thank you for your dedication, your passion, and your unwavering belief in the power of education. Here's to a year filled with growth, achievement, and the joy of learning. So I'll see you in class. And so now I'd like to turn it over to Senator Weber, one of our champions for attendance.
Thank you. I will be brief. Being a part of the absentee task force this summer and this year has been very eye-opening. Once again, we are seeing that we need to operate as a community, encouraging our children to be in school, supporting them, bringing them to the place where they will be able to learn, because we talk about water and we talk about sewer and we talk about roads. We talk about building. We talk about social services. But our most important infrastructure item is our children. Our children are our future, and we have got to build for them a future that will also encourage us to be secure in our futures. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And we'll take any questions. Let's start with one specific to education and school attendance. Okay. We have some online questions too, so, okay, yeah.
When you're talking about some of those root causes, can you lay out what those are
Yeah. Yeah, so the research talks about, I believe there's about 4 areas, and I have my team here that can shout out some things in case I miss them. But there are barriers to school attendance, such as housing insecurity, transportation, food insecurity. So though there are some basic barriers that our community can come together to address. We call those aversion factors, the barriers to attendance. Then there are aversion factors where, for various reasons, some students don't feel safe attending school. It could be about the school climate. It could be some things the student is experiencing just as a result of crisis and trauma in their own lives. Then there is that group of students, some of us may be familiar with, who don't think school necessarily is meeting their needs. They are disinterested for whatever reason, and we need to find ways to engage them. And then there's a 4th barrier that I'm drawing a blank on right now, but we do have, I think the important thing to note is that, like our governor said earlier, this isn't a one size fits all. It's going to be important to sit with students and families and get to the root cause of what's getting in the way of them getting to school, and child by child come up with solutions to address those particular barriers. So again, using the research that's out there, using the strategies that we know are already working in some of our school communities, and really listening to our students and families about what will work for them to help get them to school.
Just to, sorry, circle back on the second portion of that question, what are you doing to address those root causes financially? I mean, you mentioned a lot of things like food, housing insecurity, and mental health issues. Those take finances.
Right. And so using some of the existing resources that the department allocates to schools and sitting alongside them, like I mentioned earlier, with our integrated guidance program that helps districts direct funds to where their core needs are as a district. So with those grants, and if attendance is one of the key issues they're trying to address, they're able to sit with some of our experts and design what the plan will be for their particular community.
I have two questions from our reporters that are joining virtually. The first is from KGW's Kale Williams. A question for the governor. With many schools in the Portland area either closed completely or shutting down early because of heat and a lack of air conditioning, what specific plans do you have to make sure schools can safely serve students, especially given that hot days like this are expected to become more common due to climate change?
Yeah, and we have seen the news because of the heat in particular areas, particularly in the Portland area yesterday and today. Some schools are either closed or closing early. I think this is a wake-up call for all of us. We know because of climate change and all the other things happening with extreme weather events, our schools, some of them are old and they are not prepared for this situation. Newer schools are. There are new schools. If you're able to have a community that has a new school, you're getting your HVAC and the other things you need to be year-round in a safer way. The state does have some resources for districts when they are doing renovations. We often match if a local community goes out there and has a bond. There is a state program to match some of that. I will be advocating for that in my next budget. I've been a fan of that program for many years. It provides additional resources for local school districts to improve their facilities and making sure we're tapping into all the federal dollars that have come down from Washington, D.C. to do some of this. I think it's something that's come over from the pandemic where we all know that having healthier air systems in our schools and better HVAC systems are also good for the health and safety of the child. That we learned that in the pandemic, so there are other dollars coming in. But I will say it is difficult for districts. Some districts do not have the resources to upgrade their facilities. We will have to continue to support them and with local dollars to make those changes. But hopefully the heat will break and everyone will be back in school next week and hopefully the weather will cooperate.
Thank you. I have a question from Julia Silverman with the Oregonian. This question is for the governor. Some states, such as Rhode Island, are seeing success with dashboard tracking chronic absenteeism in real time and making the data publicly accessible to increase accountability. Additionally, as we saw this week, national experts say Oregon's school data transparency efforts are significantly lacking. Given the scale of the chronic absenteeism problem in the state and the fact that we are one of the only states that has seen this metric get worse, not better, since the pandemic, would the governor's office or the governor support a similar dashboard? And are there other concrete efforts that you think might make a difference on this issue beyond social media?
Great, thank you for that. There's a lot there. So first of all, kudos to Rhode Island and the shout out to the governor there. I think they're about a year into their attendance work and they are seeing progress. So I think the message there is when you bring different groups together, they've really engaged the faith community in Rhode Island and the private sector, getting all the adults again, talking about why school attendance is important. And I'd like to see us replicate some of that here. School districts do track attendance. It's one of those things that when we pass the Student Success Act, that's one of the things they are planning for, improving their attendance. And I am not happy about that grade that we have from that national group saying we're not as transparent. We have work to do. The good message is there is that we are on the path to do that. In the last legislative session this year, the one earlier this year, we did receive some money from the legislature, the department did, to start improving our online information. We have a lot of information in this department, but it is not as user-friendly as it could be. So a new dashboard is coming by the end of the year to track some of these things. And I don't know if Dr. Williams, you want to talk about that?
I would agree. We do have that funding and we've already seeded. So you will see an improvement if you visit our financial transparency dashboard, for example. So before, when you would visit the website, there was a link, it would send you to a spreadsheet to download. And if you were savvy with Excel and love math like I did, it's your language. But for most of us, we need something a little bit more user-friendly. So if you visit our financial site, you'll now see tables that are embedded in the website, and it's a lot easier to navigate. It's the beta version because we're on to better. We have a multi-year project plan to update it because one thing that has been clear from our governor to us as agency directors, transparency and accessibility matters. It helps for our constituents to make good decisions about how we are serving our students. It informs policy, all of those things. And so it is our intention. We're making every effort to make that data available. And so similarly, our report card data by the end of the year will also be in similar condition where you can actually interact on the website and not necessarily have to download a PDF or graphic.
And the only other thing I would add, Julia, is that my goal is not to have an F the next time that
That
national
part.
report comes out, because I'm not
That
happy
part.
about that. So let's
Absolutely.
just say that straight up. And also, with the legislators who, Senator Weber and Representative Nguyen, working on this from the legislative side, there are some longer term things we can also do. So I look forward to the recommendations in the upcoming session. But we shouldn't wait for the next report or the next dashboard on
That's
any of this. It's what can we do today? And people can do something today. They can come up with better routines in their household to help their kid get there. And teachers and administrators are going to pick up the phone and they're going to call families and say, hey, I'm glad that your kid's in school today. Thank you. I'm going to call you and say, hey, we haven't seen your kid in a while. What's going on? That kind of stuff has to happen while we're also building other things along the way.
Do you have any more education related questions?
The legislature last year during the summer period had a long work group about addiction and what they could do to improve some of the resources. One of the outstanding things that they did not address or put money towards was prevention in schools. And there's no work groups this summer on that either. What's the plan moving forward to make sure that, as you mentioned, the children of the future are not turning into addicts?
Yep. Well, a couple things. And we can do some follow-up, but the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission is focused on the prevention side of the work we can do. And there have been reports, and I've read them, where we could be doing more in our schools around prevention. So they are the lead agency on that piece, and looking forward to their recommendations there. But again, not waiting just for another set of recommendations, because you'll recall at the end of last year, there was a lot of conversation related to the Portland teacher strike and other things. We just have kicked off a work group led by my office with a lot of constituents and stakeholders about the social and emotional health of our students. And the goal there is to say, hey, what is working in your school to help with the social and emotional well-being of your students? Because if we can get it at the front end, when kids are struggling, we're going to have more success. So they don't try to compensate for their concerns with drugs or other things, right? So that work group is focused on what are districts doing? What can we do now to give different tools into the hands of educators? So when they have a child who's struggling, they know what to do with that. And so we will be having more information there as we get through the end of the year, but that just kicked off last week. So we're very much focused on the whole child, because if a child is feeling safe and feeling supported, they're going to show up and they're going to learn, and that's something we as adults have to focus on.
All of those resources take money, and if you ask people at school that money comes. That's those districts that money comes. What's going to be the legislative task for increased funding?
Well, right now, I'm developing my budget for the next 2 years. You will see some additional investments longer term to deal with young adults who are struggling. But I would argue we have resources now in our schools. We have educators who have given the tools, or like, here's a model you can employ. They are hungry to say, what can I do right now? I am in my classroom and I have a student who's struggling. We want to give those tools to them. They're like, oh, I learned something new, a new skill, I can help. That's not something they all learned in school, but it's something we can make sure if a district is doing it well, let's make sure everybody knows that, because we can do that right now without new resources.
Okay, we have one more virtual.
Last question for the governor from Julia Silverman with the Oregonian, just to follow up on KGW's question around the schools that are shutting down early due to the heat wave. You emphasize the reliance on local dollars for major facility projects, but what about communities where voters have shown time and time again that they are not able to afford to vote for the bonds, making those districts ineligible for state matching grants?
I don't know, Senator Weber, since you're in the, I don't know if you want, but that is true. We have some communities who have really tried to have property tax measures, bonds to build new facilities. I was just reading today's Statesman Journal. So I think it's a $90 million bond for the schools in Independence and Monmouth. One of the ways I think we encourage voters to support these types of bonds is to show that things are working in the schools, right? That they feel confident that when they invest in their districts in better buildings, that they will have better outcomes. And some communities are doing a better job of that than others. I do know that when we have the state funding, it matches up to a certain point when a bond goes out. It is really does incentivize some communities to say, well, if we put our money in and the state puts some money in and maybe even the federal government, then we can get this done together. But it is a challenge for more rural communities. And I don't know, Senator Weber, I don't know if you want to,
Well,
oh, come in front of, thank you.
the Bank School District successfully passed a $50 million bond. That's a small community. And they saw the need and they supported it. And I think that when communities see and hear what they need can be provided for them, they will vote for it. And I believe that making sure that our communities completely understand everything that's going on in our schools is very important. And there are many, many schools that need a lot of maintenance work, deferred maintenance because of, they haven't had the money. But I think that with the right campaigns and the right understandings, I do believe that communities will support that.
Did you want to say a couple final words or?
Any other education questions? Anybody else online? Okay. Well, I just want to thank Dr. Williams, the OD staff, Senator Weber for being here. And we will sign, so I'll take one more. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with regards to deflection, we're seeing right now in Portland that people are deflecting and they're not getting. And that was to be expected. The state has had a shortage of detox. But what are we doing financially? What resources are going into, again, financially getting those detox beds?
Yep. I know that the Portland metro area is very focused. For example, the Central City Concern project that was funded both by state and local dollars will be going online this year. That's additional treatment beds for folks who are needing that. We do have a gap there. I'll be coming into the next legislative session with an additional next ask of regionally, what can we do to provide more beds for folks? So when they are ready for recovery, they have a place to go. I think it's early in the deflection process to know, and not everybody who has a connection with law enforcement who's referred into a program is going to take it at that first time. But I think if we continue to do it on a regular basis, we will see more people needing, wanting that help. And you're right, our job is also to make sure that those treatment beds are there, and we're working on that. Thanks, everybody. Okay, well, let's sign a proclamation.
Behind this desk and pose for a photo. We can do like a half circle. Yeah.
It gets so quiet when you do this. Hello. That's right. We're proclamating. Okay. Ready? We have everybody? Okay. The official pull up the proclamation. Everybody say, every day matters.
Every day matters.
You were well trained, all right. We're gonna get this